Yeah, what's up guys? So in today's video, I'm going to be going over my games from the Jinxy tournament that qualified me to the grand final. So I will be playing on Saturday. Really nice. This tournament is actually worth more than the Clash Royale monthly finals. It's like $60,000 or something like that, which is really cool. And basically how it worked, guys, is we play the duel format, just like CRL. It's literally identical to CRL, basically, but under a different name. And we basically have 5 other opponents, and the top 4 players with the best record against the other 5 opponents for a total of 6 make it through to the finals. So I was one of those players. I actually finished second, which is pretty nice. So I made it through as the second seed, which is pretty cool. And we are in the first match here against Reuben. And by the way, guys, this is not live. I'm just going over my matches just as a reminder before I get someone in the comments telling me that, like, I'm post-commentating or something, but I've already warned you. So, basically, guys, in this duel against Reuben here, Reuben is a former world champion from 2020, I believe, and I started with Goblin Giant. The reason I started with Goblin Giant was because I feel like Goblin Giant is just not only broken, but a really solid deck, and honestly, there was something that my old coach told me that kind of resonated with me, and which is kind of why I even played Goblin Giant, and it was mainly like, there is no deck in the game that I would personally be comfortable queuing in against Goblin Giant with, and I'm like, wait, that's so true. So, like, I think that for the other way, so, like, what's stopping me from being the person who's using Goblin Giant, and there's nothing they're going to want to use against it, if that makes sense. So we're up against this Graveyard Goblin Hut deck with the Giant Skelly, which is actually a difficult matchup, but right here is a very important moment. I knew that his hand right now was 3 spells, Graveyard, Zap, Curse, and a Berserker, so I knew that he literally had no defense, and his next card, I believe, was Minions, if I'm remembering correctly. So as you see, his tower just got completely rolled, and he just loses everything in the beginning of the game, so really nice single elixir for us. I knew that to win this matchup, it would have to be in the beginning of the game, because in double elixir, I would pretty much have no chance. So I do have the Evo Furnace for defense, which was great, and I knew better than to not curse on defense, guys. And the reason we weren't able to curse on defense was because actually he has his own Goblin Curse. So if we did Curse plus Rage, then he would go Curse plus Evo Zap, and we would lose our entire tower to like 60 Goblins. So very nice recognition right here, but I was kind of scared. I went for the Goblin Giant up top just to kite the Goblin Giant over across the bridge so we didn't have a tank for the Graveyard. And then I did this nice Furnace Heal Spirit placement, just taking out the minions, but also continuing to not give him a tank at the bridge. And then I just got a nice Bar Barrel plus Prince on defense, and then I got a late Rage for a really easy win. I was honestly worried for a second, but once I realized there was only 5 seconds left, I won the game, which made me start up 1-0, guys. And I was looking really nice here because winning the first game of a duel is always really important, in my opinion, just for the mental aspect. Alright, guys, so in the next match here, I decided to go for Goblin Drill. I felt like Goblin Drill would be a pretty solid deck without him really having that Graveyard anymore, because I felt like Graveyard is one of the more difficult matchups for Goblin Drill. And as well as Graveyard being pretty difficult, I felt that without him having Furnace anymore open, I thought that maybe he wouldn't use Spirit Empress, and this Drill deck also really struggles against Spirit Empress. So I was pretty confident here going in with Drill, but you guys will kind of see that this match didn't go as expected. And I don't mean that in a bad way per se, but he was still clearly using Bridge Spam, as you see by the Royal Ghost and the Ram Rider. So I saw the Executioner, I'm like, okay, it's the Executioner Lightning Bridge Spam deck. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be difficult because of the Boss Bandit and the Xe, but I win these. I know how to win these. I've won these many times in the past. And I just go for a Berserker here on the Xe, kind of just trying to figure out the rest of his deck, you know, and he has a Bar Barrel, as I knew. So I go for a defensive Goblin Drill here, guys. You might not know this, but defensive Goblin Drill is actually kind of tech against the Boss Bandit, but then I see a Bomber, and I'm like, wait, what? That means he has a million drill counters, but here what I do is I get a really nice King activation, so I go for the Fire Spear here, I bring the Boss Bandit to my King, and because Boss Bandit only gets 2 abilities to dash backwards, I knew he wouldn't be able to use the ability anymore, and we get a really nice early King activation. We do Drill here as well, because I know he doesn't have Barbarian Barrel just yet, but he gets a really good Evo Executioner, so he gets back to the Bar Barrel with that, and we only get a little bit of damage, and right here I knew I was guaranteed to take some damage, because I was down a bit, and he had the Evo Xe and the Ghost on the opposite lanes counter pushing. I do get nice Skellies, but I was pretty sure that I was going to be taking a decent bit of damage. Then I just let that take the HP, because I don't want to overspend with like a Snowball or anything, or maybe a Bomber. In a matchup like this, the worst thing you can do is overspend and not let them get damage. Sometimes you just have to accept when you're going to take your damage. I get a really nice snowball prediction there on the bomber, getting me an extra goblin stab. And we do have our Evo Tesla in hand, so I was really, really confident that we weren't going to lose, at least for a little bit, because with the Evo Tesla in hand, you really just can't lose your tower. There's no way, but I almost got caught by that lightning, guys. That was really, really close. If I wasn't really quick, then I probably would have lost the game right there just to the boss bandit. I was actually so scared. I was like sweating for a second. And then I get a really nice snowball on top of that ram rider, just making sure to get as many goblin stabs that we can anywhere where it's possible. I get a nice Tesla on defense as well, but I was being cautious of the lightning because I know that in this drill matchup, it really does come down to if my defense is perfect, because they just lightning cycle you. Like, they lightning Teslas and the tower over and over again. We get another goblin drill defensively into the boss bandit here just to make sure that, you know, we're not getting cooked on offense, because if we have a drill down, he can't even ram rider really that well either. He does go for the ram rider, but obviously that wasn't really the greatest. We get a nice berserker, but he gets a beautiful lightning. And here, guys, I actually thought that I was dead. I actually screamed in the voice call, man, like I thought I was dead, bro. But I somehow managed to scave by for no damage. I don't know how that I actually did that. And then we get a really, really nice Evo Tesla. And I, once again, barely snuck by. And then I get Skellies plus Bomber. Somehow the Bomber gets on the tower. But out of all of that push, guys, that entire push, I only took one Bomber hit. Should have been none, but I was obviously very happy with that when I was, for a moment, assuming that I had actually lost the game. So then I just pre-cycle a Tesla here because I know that I need to definitely cycle multiple Teslas. I also had a feeling that he would lightning, but because of that, I went for the high goblin drill here, just so if he went for the lightning, he'd have to not hit the tower or he wouldn't hit the drill. So I get a nice berserker bomber snowball here just to make sure that we get back to the Evo snowball. And because of that, we're actually in a really good spot. We get nice skellies for the boss man, and then we do this really nice play, drill, bomber, berserker, but berserker to tank for the drill. Then we get the immediate Evo snowball to knock the ram back, and our drill gets on the tower, guys. If you saw, it got one hit, and then it gets 2 hits, and then 3 hits right there, and a 4th. So now I know all I need to do to win this game is defend. We get a nice defensive drill and a bomber, because bomber is actually unkillable in this matchup, because obviously you're not going to lightning a bomber. So I get a nice high Tesla snowball as well. The reason we kept going Tesla here is just to not let him lightning the tower in the Tesla. Right here, though, Boss Bandit got a little bit dicey. Boss Bandit is just insane. I poisoned the tower just for safe measure because I knew I had the Evo Tesla in Psycho, so I knew that there would be no way for him to break through. I get a really nice snowball, then I get Skellies, and I'm already back to another Tesla. What didn't even matter because obviously we defended, and the Evo snowballed as a last-ditch effort, so we just Evo snowballed him back, and we took a really, really nice 2-0 victory against Reuben. We actually got him really good. I was really happy with how that game played out. I was honestly like scared many times in the matchup, but we stayed composed and we ended up winning against a world champion. All right, guys, so here we have a match against Viper. Viper is the best Hog XE player of all time, and we are playing Goblin Drill once again here. Like I said, guys, I think Goblin Drill is one of the best decks in the game, and I do think that it's like a top 2 cycle deck. The only deck, like, fast cycle that might be better than it is maybe that Minor Wall Breakers Minions deck, but I just really, really trust my skill with Goblin Drill. I feel like I'm always doing really well with Goblin Drill. Like, I've been #1 in the world with it so many times. I've gotten some really nice finishes, and I feel like I'm just always winning really difficult matchups, and I don't really lose the good ones very often. So here, guys, I see the Monk in the back, so I go for the Drill Bomber at the bridge. I know that against RG Monk, which is a really, really tough matchup, by the way, whenever they Monk the back, you have to pressure opposite lane. The reason you need to pressure is because if you just let them go all in, then you are going to lose because the Monk will deflect cannon. It will deflect bomber, so the only card that will actually be doing any damage is the Berserker. But obviously they have the Fisherman to yank it away, so if you pressure them, they won't really be able to get the RG with the Monk. In single elixir, in double, they will be able to get it regardless, but in double, we obviously have more elixir to defend. We're able to cycle multiple Berserkers and stuff like that. So because he used the Barbarian Barrel, I go Drill on the side, predicting the Wizard in the middle to hit the Bomber and the Drill. And I was right. He put the Wizard right in the middle, and he actually had to end up spending the guards as well, which is huge because if he only had to go Wizard there, that's like the difference between him being able to get an RG in front of the Wizard and him not being able to get an RG in front of the Wizard, which is good because we actually have a lot of trouble defending Wizard too since we don't have like a log to take off the Wizard shield. So really rough matchup here. I go for a nice Drill Bomber right now, and then I just get a nice Evo Cannon down for defense. Really nice cannon as well because we end up hitting the Fisherman, so that RG just gets no damage on our tower. Then I try to sneak a drill in, which I actually did get to sneak a drill in front, which is really nice because we have the Evo Snowball, so he has to be careful. I knew that he'd go for the guards probably, so I didn't even bother. And he went for the Barbarian Barrel, so it was even better that we didn't go for the Evo Snowball because obviously you want to be using Evo Snowball when they do not have Barbarian Barrel. And then we just Skellies just to make sure we finish off that Monk Barb Barrel. But unfortunately, we get a really bad interaction here, and we have to bomber the Barb Barrel, of course. And we go for the Fire Spirit here. And dude, I saw that Fireball, and I was so scared. So we just go for the Evo Snowball and then Skeletons. And we actually clean this up decently well. I think I go for the Fire Spirit instead of the Cannon, yeah, because I thought that it wouldn't get any hits, which I was right. So far, guys, we haven't taken a single RG hit, right? And we're just doing a really good job at pressuring, never really giving him a good chance. And we just get a nice snowball here. These snowball timings with Goblin Drill are really important, guys. It's always important to master the art of drill snowball, man, because depending on your timings, that's the difference between 1 to 2 hits every single drill snowball push compared to 0. And as you see, we just forced out the Monk every time. Another good snowball right there. Dude, I actually played this game nicely, man. Just watching it back, it was a beautiful game. And we got a Bomber Splash. I actually yelled when that happened as well. I was so hyped when that Bomber hit, but I knew that the game wasn't over yet in this position because in a position like this, all it takes is one, and I mean one slip up, and you go from being up and dominating the game to just instantly being down 300 damage, and then you just lose the momentum, and then the game's over. So I was doing a really good job on keeping the momentum, but I knew that even though I had been doing good so far, I had to continue the momentum. We get the Evo Snowball here because I didn't want to use my Evo Cannon. I wanted to save the Evo Cannon to maybe help take out the Wizard because I knew it would be kind of important to take out the Wizard with the Evo Cannon, at least a shield, of course. And I snowballed as well because I knew that we would probably need another Evo Snowball on defense. I do get a nice Poison Evo Cannon here. Evo Cannon, obviously, plus the Poison takes out the Fisherman, so we got a nice interaction there. And then I go for a defensive drill. This was a really nice defensive drill, guys, because it brought the other RG over, but also distracted the left one just long enough to get the cannon down. And we defended for 0 damage yet again. So far, guys, we haven't taken a single RG hit. And then I just poisoned the bridge, so he has to RG other lane instead of with the Wizard, because obviously you don't want to go RG into a poison. And then we just get Snowball here. And now I know I'm going to have the Evo Snowball next. So that moment is kind of when I was convinced that I was going to win, is basically when we got back to the Evo Snowball, because I knew that we could just go for the drill Evo Snow because he only had guards, and I actually counted down and call 3, 2, 1 guards, and then he put the guards, which was so funny. My coach was actually yelling like, no way. It was actually kind of funny. And then I just went for a bomber here on defense just to take out everything, and we got a beautiful Evo Cannon plus drill just to make sure that we sealed the win, and we got a poison. Like, this was just a, honestly, drill masterclass. I feel like Goblin Drill, for this reason, is probably my favorite cycle deck right now. You're truly just able to beat anything with perfect gameplay. There's no matchup that you truly just can't win if you play with Drill at a perfect level. So we ended up getting the win, which is really nice. Alright guys, so we had a match against XOP Sim. Sadly, the first game didn't record. I don't know what was up with that, but basically in this duel, we were up 1-0. We won with Goblin Giant against Lava. We were the ones using Goblin Giant, so this is game 2 right here. If we win this, we took it all, and if we lost, we would go to a third game because it is the first person to win 2 games out of a potential 3. And he had the Boss Bandit Lumberjack in Furnace here. At this point, I was unsure if he had Goblin Giant or Bridge Spam, but I was leaning more towards Bridge Spam just because of the Boss Bandit, but I did see him using a Goblin Giant Boss Bandit deck on ladder, so I was a little bit skeptical, and it's always better to be safe than sorry, so I was playing like he could have Bridge Spam or Goblin Giant, just to be safe, you know, make sure. And we are playing this bait deck here. I genuinely love this bait deck. I've been playing it a lot on ladder and a decent bit in competitive as well. I just go for the Berserker Mother Witch here and the Skeleton King. I knew we were going to take a Ram Rider connection, but I also knew that we were going to get a lot of Mother Witch piggies on the counter push, so I knew that it would get kind of annoying for him to be able to defend this. And the Berserker actually got on the tower, which I was super happy about. And look at that Skeleton King, guys. Right here, I was scared for like a quarter second until I remembered. I'm like, wait, I have Dark Goblin and Guards in my deck, so like, I knew I wasn't going to be taking a single lick of damage. I just get the Dark Goblin down right when he pops the ability because I knew that we were going to need that to help us out. But somehow that Fire Spirit was on some, like, Michael Jordan shit and jumped on our tower, which was kind of scary. But, yeah, we go Wall Breakers other lane just to not give him too much value with spells. And he ends up just, defending with Rage and the Lumberjack. I was confused, though, that he had Rage and Lumberjack in his deck. I mean, Rage is just a good card, but usually you go one or the other. But forcing out 6 Elixir there was really good, so we just go for the Goblin Barrel here just to keep up the pressure because we did want to get to the Evo. And then I went for the Mother Witch in the back. He hasn't played a Curse yet, guys, but at this point in the game, I knew that he had Curse left because he still had one more card left to show. I just dropped my Skelly King in the back because I knew that that Mother Witch Piggy would be kind of annoying, but I also had a feeling that he wouldn't defend it either. And you guys may see me, I save Evo Wall Breakers in this game for the Evo Furnace. With this Logbait deck, I really like to save the Evo Wall Breakers for the Evo Furnace, and then I even went guards just to make sure that he had to defend our Dark Gob again. But right here, I was kind of worried about the Evo Lumberjacks. We get a Mother Witch plus Lockdown just to try to DPS that stuff down, and we actually did a pretty decent job, and we didn't have to use our Evo Wall Breakers on the Evo Furnace, so I just went in with the Evo Wall Breakers, because Evo Wall Breakers plus Log does take out the Furnace, and we get a double Evo Wall Breakers connection right there. And I knew that if we defend this incoming Ram Rider push, we would win the game. And then he just ended up not going for a Ram Rider, which confused me. But I also knew that him not going Ram Rider there basically confirmed me the game. So I just went for the Mother Witch here because he literally has no way to kill it. Mother Witch is just the MVP of a matchup like this. Him only having Curse, Rage, and Barbarian Barrel, Mother Witch is just untouchable. So I knew that also if he abilitied here, we just get more piggies. So he couldn't really ability right now with the Boss Bandit and Minions, so I just knew that we were going to get a bunch of piggies. I even went for another Mother Witch here, guys, and he did a really bad Ram Rider Minions. He had no Elixir after going for that Curse, so we just went for the guards, took out the Ram Rider, and we didn't even need to defend anymore, and our Goblin Barrel finished off the tower for a really nice 2-0 win. Alright, guys, so for the final duel, I was actually up against Jinxy. So guys, in my group, we actually had Jinxy in here as well, which I was honestly so happy to see that Jinxy was in my group. Basically, how this tourney worked, and I know a lot of people will and were asking me how I faced Jinxy, why he was playing and stuff like that. Basically, there was 14 invited players, and then there was 12 qualified players, or something along those lines. Maybe 12 qualified players, and then 12 invited players. And basically, Jinxy was a part of the invited players, so obviously he had to be placed in a group, and funnily enough, he was placed in mine. At this point, I was already qualified, so whether I won or lost to Jinxy didn't matter for the qualification, but obviously I want to win as many games as possible, and I want to place as highly in the group as possible, even though, like, all I need to do, you know, to qualify is get top 4, and I was already secured the top 4 placement, so I was mainly just playing here to improve my record, and maybe just like a bit of pride too, because obviously I want to beat everyone possible. Here Jinxy was playing his Graveyard Goblin Curse deck with the Evo Zap, so we have the Drill here. Once again, man, you guys are kind of seeing me spam Drill in today's video, and honestly, man, like I said, it's just too solid. Here I get a really nice snowball with the Evo Tesla. That's why it's always really important to cycle to the Evo Tesla as quickly as possible, so we get a good defense, and I was tempted to Mighty Miner the bridge, but I decided it would be better for me to just go for a Goblin Drill, Bomber, and Skeletons, because I knew that he really only had Berserker right now for this, and then maybe like a Furnace in the middle. That's what I was thinking, and then he actually did end up going for exactly what I thought in the moment, so then I just went Evo Snowball, and I got a bunch of damage, so I had a really great start, but this matchup is good for me, but it's really losable because of the Giant Skeleton plus Evo Zap combination. And you guys are going to see like a bit of scary moments with that because Giant Skelly is super tanky. Evo Zap rolls the Mighty Miner. And another thing is that minions will typically force out the Mighty Miner ability because we can't poison since we need to poison on the Evo Furnace and or the Graveyard. So you can get really, really scary situations in a matchup like this. I just make sure to Fire Spear on the minions just to be annoying, keep my Tesla as healthy as possible for as long as possible. So we just go for the Snowball here with that, and then we poison the Evo Furnace, and then we quickly go for the Skeletons to get the 3-card cycle. And here is where stuff gets a little bit dicey because, as you see, we don't have our Mighty Miner. So I Bomber in the middle here, and I made sure to not play anything before my Mighty Miner died, just so I got back to it as quickly as possible. We got a really nice Fire Spirit Snowball here, and then we get a Skeletons up top, and then we get a Bomber as well, just making sure that he didn't clip us with like a nice Zap to get the Giant Skeleton to blow up on our tower. Then we just went Mighty Miner here. So really good defense, and we've honestly just been playing perfect so far. I haven't really spotted a mistakes right now, even watching it back. And then we just Evo Snowball on top of that Giant Skelly to get our Goblins on the tower immediately. And because we had Evo Tesla, I really wasn't worried, and his tower went all the way down to 297, so all we had to do was either get 2 poisons or like 1 drill hit plus a poison. So I just go for the Skelly's Fire Spirit here, and we get a really nice counter onto the minions, and Right now, he had the Evo Zappin cycle, so I knew that he would Evo Zap this Mighty Miner, and then I went for the drill. This drill was a mistake by me, guys. I'm telling you now, that drill was awful by me, because I go Skellies here, but then, as you see, the giant skeleton just barely somehow makes it to the tower. I bomber here on top of the furnace, and dude, my life flashed before my eyes. I poisoned, I snowballed, and obviously, I did end up taking the win, but dude, I should not have went drill there, man. I did not need it, and I almost choked the game because of that, but obviously I still managed to win, which was great, but that would have been horrible if I choked. So guys, we were in the final match here up against Jinxy, and here we played the Skeleton Barrel Wall Breakers deck, and as you guys see, we obviously had the Wizard in here. I felt like the Wizard would be like a really, really good addition, mainly because I know that Jinxy does play a lot of Royal recruits, and I did know that there was a decent chance that, I mean, he could go for like some type of Lava Hound deck, just trying to like cheese me. And also, I knew that the Cannoneer Tower plus Wizard would kind of be pretty nice against a potential like Goblin Giant deck, because I was obviously scared of those Goblin Giant type beatdown decks. So we just Dark Goblin here on defense, and he goes for the balloon. It was actually a really good balloon because the Dark Goblin ended up targeting on the Bowler, unfortunately. So we pretty much lose our entire tower. I was surprised to see him not freeze our tower, but I was also kind of happy because we didn't end up losing it. That was a really good balloon by him regardless, though, because in a matchup like this, you need to tower trade at the beginning because you need to win either 2-1 or 3-1. And in this situation, obviously I did get that left side tower, but he's actually not in a bad position because even though I got a lot of damage, like, it's not hard for him to take one tower in this matchup. It's just hard to take two. So having a tower or nearly a tower by double elixir is perfect for him. So I was honestly kind of worried that I was going to lose this game just because of how the start played out. That Dark Goblin, unfortunately, targeting on top of the Bowler costed me a lot in this match. But I also knew that his deck has a really, really hard time defending against these types of bait units like the Skeleton Barrel, the Goblin Gang, the Dark Goblin. So I knew that we were still in a decent spot to win, but there was obviously like a world where I would lose this game. So we're just making sure to continue up the pressure. I saw him go for the Bowler on the left, so I knew it was kind of time for me to start up pressuring with the Skeleton Barrel. I also knew, though, that he had Valkyrie because he's played it multiple times, so we had to be very, very careful. But because of him having Evo Valk, I knew that he wouldn't really want to use it on defense, but we ended up forcing it out anyway. So thankfully for us, the Evo Valk ends up pretty much dying at the bridge. I get a nice gang here to bring that over, and then we go for the Wizard as well. I knew he was going to freeze and take our tower here, but I needed to force out as much elixir as possible. And here I was trying to keep the Wizard alive, which I actually did, thankfully. Like, keeping the Wizard alive is really important. Oh, wait, it did die. Never mind, guys. I remembered wrong, but keeping it alive would have been really important just to try to have as much pressure as possible. But look at that, guys. We are getting a lot of damage, and I knew that he would just Lumber Loon in the pocket in the final moments just to finish us off because he would need to either tank the Loon or freeze. And because he didn't have Valkyrie, I knew that Lumber Loon was coming, and he goes for the Lumberjack. I went Dark Goblin here because I thought he'd go Balloon in the pocket, but I was going to lose the tower regardless, so it literally didn't matter. There was zero way to defend the tower, so I go for the Evo Skeleton Barrel, and I knew here that there's probably a pretty good chance that he gets 3 crowns, so I just keep up the pressure. I don't log because I want to get as many units down as possible. I go for the Berserker here just to be careful, taking 0 risks just to make sure that we ensure the win, because from here, man, if we lost, it would have been a choke disaster class. So we go for the gang, we go for the Skelly Barrel, and then we even Wall Breakers, and he actually nadoed us at the same time, and dude, right here, I didn't think the Wall Breaker was going to connect, but then it somehow did, and I won. So I qualified, guys, and thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.